Welcome to the SWBL podcast presented by 1356 Public House. My name is Brian Benware, your host, and today I am joined by Scott Pohle, captain of the Yankees. How you doing, buddy? Saw you out there fishing recently, so.
Hey, Brian, thanks for having me. Good to be here.
Yeah. Just like all the rest ones, we're going to, talk about the roster, talk a little bit about season 19 and then what's to come in season 20. We're going to look at the division. And then we're going to learn a little bit about Scott. So with some rapid fire at the end and a little bit about the Yankees as a group of gentlemen as well. So any initial thoughts just before we get going? Anything you want to say to the people out there that are, big Pohle fans?
Well, if there are big Pohle fans, hey, but I don't think there are. But no, just thanks for having me on here, and look forward to talking about season 20, which is also very exciting. So
yes, very much so. I mean, and as a reminder to our audience, Scott is a part of the front office, so has had a lot of behind the scenes work going on with the front office and preparing for season 20. He helps out his brother Kevin, who does a ton of our production stuff too. So I know we know that you guys do a lot for us, but I think sometimes it does go unappreciated. So I guess on behalf of the league, thank you for everything you guys do, but also just say thanks, guys, when you see them, and especially with this big season 20 that's coming. So
I definitely appreciate that sentiment, but I just want to set the record straight. We do like that much, like that.
Okay.
Much. And Sam does that much.
Yeah. Well, Kevin's got a big jump.
Well, Kevin, yes, yeah. But all the other guys, yeah.
All right. Yeah, Gus's title. What is it? Players Union something.
Yeah.
It's the best title in the league for sure, because I don't even know what it means. So, all right. Well, let's jump into it. So, real quick about season 19. You guys ended up in the championship, lost to the Twins. You went 6-4. And then a bit of a shakeup with your team, and we'll kind of dive into that. But what was the feeling around the squad last year, coming up a little short in the championship game after having a great season like you did? Just kind of what was the feeling around around the team?
Yeah, I mean, first, hats off to last year and everybody that made the playoffs, and I mean yourself included. That was a big year for you guys. And hats off to the Twins and Chris, Spencer, Edlo, Will, and Corey. Like, they had a phenomenal year. And anytime you can make it to the championship and really just the playoffs, like, it's kind of whoever gets hot, Yeah. Yeah, I would say championship game specifically, losing that in the way we did, like, you just never want to, like, I think what was it, like 8-0 or 8-2 or 7 or 9-2 or something like that. And, just kind of ran out of steam at the end. And Edlo, hats off to him. I think he had 3 or 4 home runs that game.
He played really well in the championship game.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's kind of what it takes. And so congrats to them. And for us, I mean, dude, we're all competitors. Everybody in the league's competitive, and you never like to lose. So,
right.
But no, it was a great game. I think for the league, it was a great game. I think it ended with Spencer hitting a walk-off. You want to be there. I'd rather be there than not make the playoffs. So, but I think morale for our team overall, I think there was probably a sense, just, I mean, now that it's all said and done, I think there was a sense, at least from me and from a lot of us, that our team was going to shift. And so we kind of knew it was kind of probably one of the last rides. And so I really liked playing with John and Jackson. So I have a lot of respect for those guys, and it was really fun. I mean, we played with each other for almost a decade.
Yeah. I don't, obviously I don't know. I can't remember when you brought Jackson in, but it feels like he's been around almost as long as I have, if not longer. And I've been around this is my 8th or 9th season now. So, he's been here for a long time, and John was a Yankee before that even. So John
Yeah.
was an initial member of, when we went into the franchise era. So
Well, so fun fact is, when we originally sat down and kind of did the like the OG drafting for the franchise era,
Mhm.
I drafted Jackson,
Okay.
but Jackson was I think studying abroad or couldn't play that year.
Okay.
And so that's why I had Craig, and then John was with the Indians.
That's right.
Yep.
After I said it, I was sitting there. I was like, actually, you know what? I think he was with Spencer on the Indians.
Yeah. And that team didn't work out. And so John came over, and then that's when kind of was like the recruiting. I don't know if Jackson came the year after the franchise or 2 years, but it was kind of like the recruiting. John played a big part in that just because they're friends. So, which I'm really happy that they have like a crew of players that are their friends. I'm really happy about that. So
Right. Yeah. Well, yeah, it brings up a good point. We're sort of entering a new era for Yankees wiffle ball. Not completely new in the sense that 3 of the 4 players on your roster have been Yankees for a long time.
Yeah.
But at the same time, yeah, you don't have John, and you didn't have him last year, but you don't have Jackson now. And one thing I was going to bring up too about season 19, Jackson was amazing last year on the mound.
Yep.
And even to the point of like, that first playoff game that you won against the Astros, he held us to 4 runs, and it took everything we had to try to claw back into that game. Cause really, like, you guys came out early, were, awesome. And then he shut us down. And so that is a bit of a pill to swallow in the sense of losing him. But like we've talked about in the past, and we've had a podcast about it, you had Gus. So, pitching, it doesn't really feel like a huge drop off. Hello.
Oh, hold on a second. Huh? Okay. There's a nephew. We're helping babysit our nephew. So
okay. All right.
That was cue to like have me quiet down.
I see. Yeah. I'm hiding in the basement so I don't wake up my son. So
sorry about
Gus,
that.
So yeah, no worries. You had Gus, and it's not really that much of a drop off pitching, right? We've talked about that in the past. And I think another thing that's not really getting talked about, and I brought it up on a different podcast, but Jackson played the field last year because you guys were 4 players then too, and maybe Gus's experience in the field actually benefits you some more. So there's maybe an unknown, like everybody expects more from Gus at the plate, but him being able to play the field for you too is going to be an added bonus, just to have, you and Jackson were kind of rotating, and I'm sure you and he will rotate again, but he has a lot of experience playing the field. And I kind of want your thoughts about that impact.
Yeah, I think, first, it is kind of wild to think about. This is like the first big transition for the Yankees and since the franchise era. And I've been real lucky that we've been able to keep like a core very consistent. And that's been a gift as a captain. As you know, like trying to figure out rosters and adding and players leaving, like that's just not that fun. So yeah, I think with Gus, we'll see what the rhythm is, and I agree. I think he's going to bring more experience to the field. Me and him will swap left field. Obviously, Kevin will play right. And it's just fun Gus is one of our best friends. And at the end of the day, to play wiffle ball with one of your best friends, and we've played together at Hometown Cup. And so we kind of have a little bit of a rhythm there, and we trust each other, and we have a lot of fun going up to Hometown. And so yeah, I think we'll see. It's just
I don't think
know
it's
until you get out there.
Yeah, it's never a bad thing to add the number 2 overall ranked player to your team.
No, and I think especially when he's got elastic arms, I'll take that too.
Yeah,
I think all across the board we're going to be like 6'3" and higher all over the board.
Yeah, I made that joke in the one podcast, but you guys should be the Red Sox, like the Green Monster, just trying to get it over a whole different fence. So
yeah. No,
and so you know, I mentioned Gus coming in at 2 and yourself, you came in at 5. So 2 of your 4, 50% of your team are in the top 5. That's really strong. You know, really there's only one other team that could probably say they have a on paper stronger, you know, team, and that's the Twins. And that's just the simple fact that all 5 of them came in the top 20.
Yeah.
So, you know, but then you've got Kevin, who's become one of the best right fielders in the league and has gotten steadily better at the plate and been somebody you can rely on, especially after his, you know, first season back where he struggled kind of getting back into rhythm. He has just taken off. And then, you know, Sam has been hit and miss a bit, but man, when he's on, that guy is so tough to face. And so talk to me a little bit about the confidence that you have in this lineup.
Yeah, I think I've always had confidence in our lineup, you know, especially once we kind of solidified a core back in the original days. I think now it's just one of the things that, I mean, even I've talked with Kevin about, and he's talked about, is like, it's the pictures and the graphics are great, but there's also an element where that also hinders performance because he's like worried about so many things that he's not worried about playing. And so he would, I think he's starting to transition to more of just like wanting to play because it's just a lot for a weekend to do, you know, and especially when your friends are playing and you just would rather be with them and it's fun documenting. It's so, and I think Sam, you know, I think he took a little bit of a step back last year, but I just trust everybody, you know, it's at the end of the day, we're playing wiffle ball and I trust who we have out there. And hopefully what we have out there is going to be enough to win a couple games and take us to the playoffs and have a run. So, which would be fun.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to dig into your brain here a little bit, but I mean, coming off of a championship appearance and now a little bit of a change, you know, so what, if you could put your finger on one thing or maybe one big change with this new look team, what makes this team better than last year's team?
I appreciate the question. I don't know if you can say one team's better than the other per se, you know. I would say that like I'm confident with who we're putting out there. And I would say that this is the biggest change that Yankees franchise has ever gone through. And I'm confident in the change. I'm not sitting here going, oh, frick, we added Gus. What are we going to do? I'm thinking like, yes, like we.
Shucks, it's Gus.
Dang it, we signed Gus.
Yeah.
Like I'm thinking, I'm really thinking like, I'm very confident. Like I'm very confident in, you know, I'm forecasting Gus is probably going to bat 1. So like that 1-2 leading into Sam, who used to be 2. It just reminds you a lot of like the Twins gauntlet when you're pitching against the Twins. You're like, okay, like Chris, Spencer. Oh, then you got, you know, I don't know who their 3rd or 4th, how they bat their order, but then it's like, oh, then you got this person, you got this person. You're like, you can't really take a break. And, you know, I don't know if we even had that last year, but like the name of Gus carries a lot of weight. And I've always mentioned that, like, I don't know why in my head, probably my biggest failure as a captain is not having Jackson bat in like his first 3 years of the league when we were trying to find a 4th player. Like I've apologized to him profusely on that. Even before like the year we won the championship, like he played a big part in that with his bat.
Yeah.
And so that's like when I mean, anyway, we don't have to get into that. We can bring out the violin.
Right.
But so I would say like I can't say if one team's better because at the end of the day, every team has the ability to win. You know, I do think that this is going to be the most competitive year. And at the end of the day, it's just like, can you put it together? Can you get hot? And whoever gets hot, like that's going to be a dangerous team. But I will choose my team over the others for sure.
Okay. Just a little precursor to probably a future question in tonight's podcast. You know, let me throw another question at you then. You have the smallest roster. You're the only team with only 4 players, which is the minimum. And I know it's wiffle ball, and I know we're all fairly young, but worst case scenario, somebody gets hurt or something like that. Like, what's your plan?
I honestly haven't thought of it.
Yeah.
If we
You
get
would see
hurt,
an in-season
then
trade if something worked. I mean, it's worst case scenario,
yeah,
right? We don't expect it to happen, but
yeah,
you're the only team with 4, and it brings up the question. So
yeah. I just never like, I don't know. I thought about it. Like, do you sign somebody? It's like you just don't want to overpromise
yeah,
and like underdeliver. And I think that if we get hurt, hopefully people can realize, I don't know, it gets pretty angsty. But hopefully someone that has a lot of players on their team would let us borrow a player for maybe the entirety, or I don't know. If we get hurt, our seasons, we're gonna be on rocky soil. So we'll see.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I had to ask the question. We all pray that nothing would happen, but at the same time,
Yeah.
yeah,
You
I would
never know.
imagine somebody would trade you a player to fill that roster out. Who knows who that player would be, but I'm sure. I
Yeah.
mean, we've got 4 teams with 7 players, so it's not like there aren't players out there.
Right.
And technically, there are free agents who aren't coming right now, so you could always just sign, one of the guys who shows up for the Hall of Fame game or the
Yes.
alumni game. Hey, get in here. So
Yes.
yeah. Last question, and this will kind of lead us into, our division breakdown, but
Mhm.
obviously we've talked about John and Jackson
Yeah.
on, starting up the White Sox here. And
Yeah.
there's an obvious natural rivalry there in a sense in the making, potentially, not in the sense of, man, like we don't like these people. We obviously there's huge respect, tons of love between the two teams, but there's also, in a sense, like 2 of the 4 core guys for the Yankees forever are now on a different team in your division. So, what are you kind of feeling like that's probably going to come to fruition, or what are your thoughts about that matchup?
Yeah. I think the only person that's gonna push that is our schedule creator.
Oh, I'm pushing
That
it. All right.
oh, you're pushing it?
I'm pushing it. Yeah.
So I don't like personally, I don't buy into that. I would say like I bought in, like I personally had a vendetta against the Astros last year,
Oh,
quietly,
okay.
of not wanting to lose to you guys
Really?
because of John
I mean,
being there.
John. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was very different because it was like he left, and it was like, man, like I just don't want to lose to a guy that just left us,
Yeah.
And so it was irony that Sam put us at the first game. And I was annoyed because I was like, I don't want people making this a big deal. It's not a big deal. And then once people started making a big deal, I was like, all right, like I don't want to lose to him now.
Yeah.
And so I think this is pretty different because this is like yes, they're former Yankees, but like this felt very much more like transition, of like,
Especially for the league in the better.
yeah,
Yeah.
like kind of like how we went through, and I'm not saying this is comparable to like the when we went to, like, there's kind of like different eras than era. Like you go franchise era, and then there's kind of like 4 or 5 years after the franchise era, the league kind of turned over again and like created a little bit of a new identity. There's like 3 different record books, I think, if you will, within the franchise era because of how things changed,
Yeah.
rule wise. And so I feel like this is the start of, because I think after season 20, there may be even more change coming.
Crazy. Okay.
Look, I don't get any of the drama. I don't know that. I don't even
Yeah.
talk to anybody about it. But I would just imagine like there may be people just hanging on to play in season 20 and then may move on. Or so I would say that for me with the White Sox, like I don't necessarily view them as like a rival. Like they're just now a new team.
Yeah.
And they have 2 players that like I really admire and really respect.
Yeah.
And I loved having them on my team. Like I loved playing with those guys. And it's kind of like I don't know. I'm not good at like comparable with sports, but yeah, that's what I would say. So
Yeah.
I don't view it as a rivalry. The
Yeah.
last year I had more of like an itch because people made it a big deal, and I got annoyed by that.
Okay.
But other than that, like I don't really care.
Yeah. Well, and John's done a good job of building a team, from scratch. He's got some really good players. And then obviously, you're 1-2 in the division. So even without a rivalry, you could per se call it, those games are still going to be really good. And
I would say everybody that has a competitive division, so just us and you guys, like on paper, I appreciated Alex talking about, I do believe that, wait, Alex is in y'all's division, right?
Yep.
Okay. Who's in the Twins?
So it's the Twins, the Rockies, and the Marlins.
Yeah, like that's not going to be a competitive division, and my humble opinion. And so it's like when you get like a competitive team or three, I think those naturally, if you want to label rivalries within a division, like that would be it. Like for us, the Twins were kind of it, I think the first 2 years of drawing. So it's like the Twins and us kind of became like, well, we can't lose to them twice.
Yeah.
Because that would put us in a bad situation.
Right.
So
yeah, and it's kind of like the Rockies and the Brewers rivalry of old.
Yep.
Because that was back in the day when we had NL and AL teams, and they were the two that were fighting a lot of the time for that top seed. So it just kind of naturally occurs, not necessarily because of players on the team. Those are just storylines.
Yeah.
So, we did a schedule release podcast a few weeks ago, and one thing that we noted about, the Yankees schedule, we all looked at the Saturday, right? And granted, this is a new era, but you've said in the past, and Saturdays have sort of been a bit of a struggle for the Yankees in the past. Some years, some years it's, you're battling, and on Saturday, you guys got the Orioles, the Rockies, the Expos, and then the White Sox. So, when you saw your schedule, did you look at Saturday, or was there something else that maybe you noticed right away that kind of sticks out more so?
I think I noticed just generally Sam has started to schedule division games on Monday. Like that's like a thing now.
Yeah, it's a great thing too.
Great idea. And so that's probably the first thing I noticed is just that, like we play 2 games on Monday.
Yeah.
So as far as like who you play at what times, like, I mean, at the end of the day, you got to play them. Like what I don't appreciate about schedule making is, I think someone may have said this in earlier, is the teams that have a threat to not show up in the mornings, for some reason get babied.
Yeah.
And they shouldn't. We're all big boys. Like if you don't show up, sucks.
Yeah.
So I don't have any, like, I looked at the schedule and I was like, I mean, the year's just going to be tough. Like you're just going to have a tough year if you have like a more competitive division. And so yeah, we're just going to go through it. So
yeah. No, I agree with that. I agree with the point in the morning games as well. And one thing I was thinking about, and we don't really have to get into it, but we've talked about how much Kevin does from a media standpoint too. And hopefully it's to really kind of let go of that a little bit, especially as we continue to evolve as a league and what we can put out there. But, having, historically, Kevin has stayed up very late working on stuff.
Yeah, I mean, there's nobody that stayed up later and more sober than Kevin and Sam.
Yeah.
In probably the past, I don't know how many years.
Yeah.
And they still had to do early. They're still up. Sam's up early. Gus is up late too with Sam. I shouldn't just signal him out. Yeah. And so it's like all those guys are up early, raking or having an early game, and like they're not going to complain about it, but it's just like, we're all old enough now. Like if you don't get up, it sucks. Nobody likes early games. Yeah. Nobody does. Like, so you just all have to go through it. So,
yep, absolutely. The power rankings just came out, at least from hitting, fielding, pitching, and the grades are coming out simultaneously as these, podcasts are released. But you guys came in hitting, you were ranked second, pitching, you were ranked second, and fielding, you were ranked fifth. So what were your thoughts about the way the kind of rankings shaped out? Do you feel like you should have been higher in a certain category or lower in a certain category or anything?
Yeah, personally, I have no idea how we got ranked second at pitching. I don't understand that at all. I mean, I'll take it. Who cares? But like, I was just as surprised as everybody else. I was like, I don't know how that happens or happened. And, but yeah, it's funny to like see some of the other chatter too, knowing how some people may or may not have voted and seeing the pots that stir. Anyway, so all in good fun. I think you know, we've been ranked high in power rankings and then we suck. And when we've been ranked low in power rankings and then we do better. And I don't really get offended by the power rankings. So I was actually on Twitter when I was like, I looked at it and I was like, I think I yelled at Cal, I was like, dude, why are we 2 at pitching? Like, what?
Yeah.
I mean, I was like, cool, but yeah. So anyway.
Yeah. Well, so then the other part of ranking that's about to come out is going to be the overall rankings, right? We're going to do the overall power rankings. So where do you think you'll be ranked? And then where do you feel you should be ranked? Or are they the same?
I think I mean, there's a few people that could skew that by skewing it. So I don't know where they'll come out. I think that we should probably be ranked in the top tier. And I think that would be fair. I'd be surprised if we were anything like 5 and below. So I would imagine being top tier and then just being in that is fine with me. I think that what was the other question again?
It's basically the same thing. It's where do you think you'll be ranked and where should you be ranked? So you've kind of answered.
Yeah, I think top tier. Yeah. I would say the team that got screwed are the A's.
Yeah, how so?
I think that they're like Steve Hayes is always on the cusp of right field, Gold Glove.
Yep.
Always.
Yep.
Paul Castellano, I think, is pretty good in left field too.
Yep.
And I think their ranking for fielding was like last or second to last.
It was hold on, I can tell you. It wasn't last, but it wasn't high. Let's see. That's not it.
And I think Paul also didn't Paul go like 5-1 last year or like 4-1.
He was really good on the mound too. Yeah.
And I think all of their scores were low. And I was probably most surprised.
They were ranked 7th in
fielding.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if they deserve that. I don't know. I think fielding but it's hard because I think people also like forecast in those, like, how do they think they're going to eventually do as like a team? Cause like when you do the like individual rankings, you have all the teams and then you have grades.
Yeah.
And so it's like, well, if I'm going to rank this team higher than this team, then their fielding and hitting has to average out. At least this is how I do it.
Yeah.
Like, they have to average out higher. If I think they're going to be better, higher overall, then they should be ranked higher a little bit. So I don't know.
Yeah, I do the same. I basically like use the grades as like the scale. So like my 1 seed in whatever category gets an A+, and then 2 A and A- and so on and so forth, to try to make sure it averages out to what I think. And the only real, I feel like the only anomalies like the Expos in the fact that they're pitching with Jimmy and last year with Brett and then Jeremy coming onto the team, like their pitching is their best aspect of their team. So it's always funny, even last year when, coming off their championship win, I think they were ranked 1st in pitching and like dead last in everything else.
Yeah.
So there's a big swing, but everybody else, like, especially, and I was talking to Eli and we talked about like he feels there's a top 1, 2 and then there's like a bottom 1 team, bottom 2 teams, and he's like, really, like the 6 in the middle, like anything could happen, especially this year. So grades are goofy and people can like you said, skew them however they want. So
because I do know there's some people that will grade how they think, but then rank what they think, which probably gives more fair, non-offensive grades.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Yeah.
so.
So let's, before we finish up with your division, we haven't talked a ton about the Expos. Just any general thoughts about them? They've a bit of a new look team. I mean, really,
Yeah.
Brett and John leaving. They had Jeremy Worrell, who's proven he can win on the mound and has gotten better at the plate for them. So maybe adding a little bit more pop, something they've been missing for a while at the plate. But really, their core is still fairly intact. So
Yeah.
What are your thoughts about playing them, especially coming off of, they were 3-7 last year in their championship defense, but
yeah, I think it's easy. Yeah, I think it's easy to write them off. For years I did that because they deserved it.
Yeah.
And who the heck knows? I think this year is going to be unique because the radar gun's going to be out all the time. And so you just don't know how like that's going to affect like the teams and like the pitchers.
Yeah.
And like you could say, okay, Jimmy historically has thrown hard, so this will just slow him down even more. Maybe he's just right on the time,
Yeah.
So I would say if I had to think about the Expos and I was them, I'd be like, or like a fan cheering on the Expos. It's like Germ. I did summer league with Germ. Dude, Germ's good.
Yes.
Germ is clutch.
I have been pounding the table and trying to come up with like a clutch nickname or something, because in big moments that guy comes through, and he did in that championship year. He did.
Yeah. And so he came up summer league with us too. Like I loved playing with Germ, and I think he's gotten better. I don't know what his stats are. It looks like Germ has gotten a lot better over the years. And so I think, you have Germ and you got is Evan coming back?
Yeah, Evan's coming back now.
Evan's back. Like you got Worrell, you got Jimmy. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if they'll be 3-7, 1 and whatever, or 6-4. Like, who knows? Like, I don't know. So
yeah,
I'm excited to play him. Like I respect him a lot. So
yeah, no, it could shake out, and it's not it's not uncommon for the uncommon to happen, I guess is a weird way to say that. But I mean,
the league needs more uncommon to happen. I just don't want it to happen to me.
Yeah.
So it can happen to somebody else. And someone else can have that uncommon. I don't want to have that happen to me though.
For sure. Well, pick a winner from the division.
I mean, you can't not bet on yourself. So respectfully, I would say I would love to have the Yankees be the winner of that. But I think if we could close, I mean, I would expect that we're going to get Jackson both times, and so you just never know. Like those are two big games.
Yeah,
so.
Absolutely. Division games are always big. So no matter who's in, for sure.
I could definitely see us having 2 coming out though, for sure.
Yeah. All right. So let's go through the other divisions real quick. And I just want you to pick a winner. And if you want to say why, you can, but it's up to you.
Okay.
So in the Cardinal Blinds division, we've got the Astros, the A's, and the Orioles.
Man, you guys got screwed, in my opinion. Like, the Orioles should have never been a tier 3 team. But you may have gotten them in tier 2 if the things would have happened. But so here's the thing. Okay. I'm gonna say the Orioles. Okay. But they haven't proven it.
Yeah.
From a standpoint, if you even look historically, like a Sam and Brett team, for some weird reason they were never able to find like the gel, and maybe after years apart that they'll have that gel now. But that's going to be a scrappy. I think the A's are going to shock some people. I think you guys are going to shock people. I agree with who is it? Eli. I agree with Eli. I mean, it's at least on paper right now that middle, excluding the outliers, like that's a dog race. Like that's a dog fight, not a dog race. So I would say Orioles, but it's going to be tough. I agree with all angles, and I wouldn't be surprised if any one of those teams came out.
Yeah.
Of that.
It's shaping
So
to be a really competitive division for sure.
yeah.
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 And then in the Ketting Ice Centers division, you've got the Twins, the Rockies, and the Marlins.
Yeah. No pun intended, but the clear winner of that, see what I did there, is the Twins for sure.
Okay. And then pick your last two playoff teams, so your two wild card teams.
I will say I think the White Sox are going to do it. I do struggle a little bit with that because I just wonder who's going to be the person that steps up for them after Jackson. But like I've had years, the reason why I'll say the White Sox is I've had years like last year, I went 1-3 as a pitcher.
Yeah.
We still made the playoffs.
Yeah.
So if they can just get a guy that gets one win out there, I think that, Jackson will be Jackson, and they'll be in a good spot. I'm sad about Breida. I will say I am sad about Breida. I loved having Breida out in the league. So it's hard not to see like the Rockies maybe on like a little bit of a downslide. Their rookies may really step up and provide some really good value.
Yeah.
They've always like been a pretty consistent team. Like the Twins and the Rockies and the Royals of past were always like very consistent.
Yeah.
And so I hate discounting them this year, but I just think that it's going to come out of your all's division, and I think it's going to be between you and the A's. And I don't like saying anything about that. God, because I really believe the A's are going to like. I think last year the A's were like a few runs away.
Seven runs away from making the playoffs. Yep, they almost knocked the Royals out.
Yeah, and that's because they even lost games by like 1 or 2, This is probably annoying to watch me really chew on this, but it's hard. Brian, who are your top 2 pitchers?
David Alderman and Cam Smith.
I'll go with you guys. I think Paul's going to have a good year, and then it just depends on, it really depends on y'all's heads to head, really. It's going to be a dogfight. Yeah. So, but I think Cam will continue to get better. David Alderman had a great year last year. I think on the mound.
Yep.
So if you got David and Paul doing the same things, and it comes down to Cam and Rogers.
Yeah, it'll be Rogers will probably be their other pitcher, or maybe even their number 1 pitcher. I don't really know how, because
here's the other thing too.
Paul's so good in the field, like it's hard to, if you can find time to keep him in the lineup in the field and not pitch him as much, but also if you need to pitch him, he's really good, especially when that hook is working.
If that new pitcher comes and figures it out, who knows? But I'll go with
Quo. I forget his first name. Yeah, Evan.
Yeah, I got no idea who he is, but is he a righty or lefty?
He's a lefty, southpaw.
So
yeah.
So I think it just kind of depends if those second guys can prove themselves. And I would take experience in the league a little bit, I think. But we'll have 2 what's the league called? Fast pitch league here.
Mowif.
2 Mowif guys, I think will be kind of the cornerstones on the deciding factors for how their team goes into the playoffs. But I think I'll go Astros. Yeah.
Okay.
So
you'll end up with a playoff of Yankees, White Sox, Astros, Orioles, Twins.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
But y'all's division is
yeah.
Meaning ours too. Like you just don't know.
Yeah. Last year, we won the division with a 6-4 record, which was the same as yours and the same as the Rockies, but we had the head-to-head advantage.
Mm-hmm.
But we had the same exact record as the Rockies, and both teams made the playoffs, but we took the division.
Yeah.
And so, when you get into those dogfights, it can come down to runs, like the A's know, and it can come down to one game for sure.
Yeah.
So, well, let's get into the unknown rapid fire edition, and just got 10 questions, and you can answer them. You can give any little talking points if you want, but we're just going to roll through them. Okay.
Sounds good.
Okay. What is the final record for the Yankees?
You know what? I'll be really like, I think 6-4 will make the playoffs. So I'll just say 6-4. I'll
Okay.
be happy with 6-4.
Yeah. Who is the team MVP for season 20?
For the Yankees?
Yeah.
I would say I would love to see Sam or Kevin have that. Yeah.
Nice. Favorite 90s song?
Dude, you're talking to the worst music guy of all time, and you saw my screen just get brighter because I'm gonna look up top 90s songs, and I'll see if there's one. Oh, Wonderwall was the top one. That's hilarious. Ooh, Creep, Radiohead, My Heart Will Go On, Celine, Getting Jiggy With It. Let me get like 50 best. Here it is. Let's do that. Okay, no, I just need a list. Where's Wikipedia? I'm literally the worst music person. Like, I'm really bad at this.
Okay.
Teen Spirit, Nirvana, interesting. Dude, I don't know. Green Day, Basket Case, never heard of that song. Never heard of that song. Never heard of that song. No Diggity.
It's a good one.
That's Outkast was in the 90s. I'm just looking, give me like these are all like hip, like.
Or
Beastie
if you
Boys
want,
shit.
if it's easier to remember, like, do you remember like what the top hit your senior year of high school was? Like, what was the jam when you were a senior?
That's also a good question. You know what? Here's Tupac, California Love. You know, I'll say, I'll just say that because I got a teammate in California, and
There we go.
I hope that song's not offensive.
I
If it is, I don't know all the lyrics.
I can hear it in my head, but that's it. So
yeah.
who's going to lead the league in strikeouts as a pitcher in season 20?
Ooh, as a pitcher. Do you have any like historical context, like last year or the year prior, like a top 5?
I don't off the top of my head. I can look it up real quick.
For some reason, I think Paul has like a lot of strikeouts historically. I know Sam does, but the interesting thing is like everybody's on an equal playing field now. Like nobody's wondering or like snarling about like they're throwing too fast. Like now you're just gonna know.
Yeah. Jimmy
I think
Nelson led the league with 22.
Last year?
Yeah. Chad Young came in at second with 18.
Yeah, those are flamethrowers last year.
Yeah.
Maybe not so much Jimmy. I know that Chad he threw pretty hard, I think.
Yeah. Will came in at third with 16. Cam Smith was, and then a bunch of people were tied at 14. Cam, Gus, Jackson.
Cam, Gus, Jackson. You know what? I'll keep it with Chad Young. Is it Chad Young?
Yeah, Rockies.
I'll say Chad Young. I think last year was his first year. I think he threw. He's a big presence on the mound, lefty. He threw kind of hard, but I think he'll figure it out more this year. And I think that lefty just kind of throws people off. So you're in a division that
he's apparently got a really good knuckleball if he can control it too. That he only used sparingly. So we'll see if he adds to the arsenal.
Yeah. It'd be interesting to know who are like the top strikeout batters and then pair them like whoever
that's also Jimmy, by the way.
Oh, it is.
I'll look, but let me look.
Because you just wonder like who of those top 3 pitchers, who has like the most strikeout hitters in their division, and I'd probably choose them.
Yeah. You know what? Oh yeah, we do. Hold on. So Kyle Breida was first.
Oh.
And he's gone. And then in second was Jimmy Nelson.
Okay. Well, he's in our league. That doesn't help my Chad Young pick. Who was third?
In strikeouts as a hitter.
Yeah.
Grant Boyd.
That's his teammate.
Yeah. So you could go, well, Grant, yeah, Rockies. So you got Rockies, Expos, which are 2 different divisions. So you could.
You know what though? I mean, I'll also go with Chad Young. I mean, who knows? I think the Marlins are good contact hitters. I think the Twins are really good contact hitters. So maybe that's going to really bite me in the butt. But let's just go with them.
Yeah. All right.
Dark horse.
Dark horse. Who's your favorite team to play against?
I always loved playing against the Royals just because, Gus being one of my better friends. I as much as pains me from like losing them a championship last year, I did appreciate like the Twins Yankees games of old, like when those were first starting. Like they're just fun. Like I'm good friends with Chris, Spencer, Edlow. Will was on our team at one point.
Yeah.
So I appreciate that their level of play. And so I like playing against good teams. So.
Yeah, makes sense. Favorite place to order lunch during the season?
Oh, Jimmy John's. Yeah.
Solid.
You can't go heavy. You just can't go heavy.
Yeah.
Like one year a team brought in Sugar Fire. I was like, y'all are not winning the rest of the afternoon. So
who will lead the league in RBIs in season 20?
Man, I'd probably say Spencer or Corey, just because of it's no disrespect to the Marlins or the Rockies, but you just kind of forecast that might be the lighter load. And they're just really good hitters. And so I would say it'd probably be a little Sammy Sosa McGuire race on the same team.
That'd be fun to watch.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you're having a movie night for the guys, for the Yankees. What movie do you show?
Top Gun.
Top Gun. Nice. Especially with the new one coming out soon.
Yeah.
All right. Choose one and give up two. Okay. Pool, alcohol, sunscreen.
I don't wear sunscreen. Easy. Give that up.
I was gonna say you have to wear a shirt, but
that would have been funny. I wouldn't have given that up. Like I really wouldn't have. Sometimes it really bothers me.
Yeah.
So it just like feels very constrictive. Or the others pool. So I get to give one up.
Yeah. So you can only keep one. Pool or alcohol.
We haven't had the pool the past couple of years, so I don't know if we'll get it this year. And so I would say pool and just be able to have like a nice drink with my friends. And I'll take that.
Yeah. All right, last question. Who wins the championship?
I'm really trying to not just be like the Yankees because I'm the Yankees, I was trying to think about like I want the Yankees to win. So like, does that count?
Yeah, no, it's fine. I mean, and it's not, you're a top tier team. You've got a good roster. It's not out of the question to say you. Yeah.
I would say I wouldn't be surprised, like, because I want us to be there, so I'm going to put us there. I wouldn't be surprised if you saw a rematch of last year's championship this year. I would hope so. I'd love to be there.
No, I'd rather the Twins not be there, but that's just me. So, I don't. If you guys want to be there, that's fine. But well, that wraps up everything I wanted to discuss. Real quick, I'll just thank our sponsors. I'm not going to run through them every time, but again, another shout out to 1356 Public House, our presenting sponsor for season 20. Stay tuned. We've still got a few more captain interviews to go, and we've got fantasy wiffle ball podcast coming out, and then a season preview podcast coming out right before the season begins. So any final words, any final thoughts, Scott, before we get out of here?
My final thoughts would be thank you, Brian, for spearheading. There's a lot of work that you're doing to do all these podcasts, and they're well thought out and well done. I would say let's remember that the league is about our friendships and about just the local presence that we have, and nothing else really matters beyond that. in my opinion.
Absolutely. I love that it's a family and friends thing, and even the relationships that I've built with people I never knew before I got here in St. Louis, like it's made a home for me here on a personal level. But I love hearing when guys are getting married or having kids, or, just that whole thing, because it feels like it's a small part of a bigger part of my life with everybody.
Yeah.
So what you said is
Yeah.
very well said. So
Cool. Thanks again, Brian.
you got it, buddy. All right. We will see you guys soon. Thank you.